What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. We have the Enterprise rewrites, the most epic and most fashionable of all of said rewrites. The only two channels that are doing rewrites because we know what the people want. And, of course, one of our channels is COVID-free. You don't have to worry about getting COVID when you watch it. But I'm going to let you guess which one that is. So I have on Lore Runner right here. LoreRunner.com is where you can find this wonderful, cute, indomitable man, might I say. You're looking well today, sir.
I do.
It's funny. Making fun of COVID restrictions is funny.
My actual mask is in my kitchen. I didn't want to get up and go grab it.
See, you should have, though. You should
Yeah,
have.
but I can't commit to the bit. That's not how that works.
What do you think this is? Not YouTube? Committing to bits? What? By the way, while we're on that topic, and I forget where the button is. Hey, did you, good friends, know that we are setting up an infrastructure where you don't have to go to individual Discords, but you can go to a specific Discord where we can talk about all of the fun and fancy free stuff. We're still setting that up, but go right there to join the Discord. You'll be able to bring in your ideas, how you would change it, ask questions. Hasn't been completely set up because, you know, this is me you're dealing with, but you can go there, definitely join. And you ready? You getting started, Runner? Are we getting up?
Well, also, as a further addendum, we're going to be doing this thing where we're going to have like a pre and a post section, and we'll post episode names there as channels. And so you can hop in that channel and everyone knows which episode we're going to cover next because we're going through them sequentially, right? So you can jump in and say, okay, so for this episode, I have this idea, or maybe I think this idea from this episode should be kept, or this scene, or I'd really like it if you tried to do this thing with this. And you can post all of that in that particular channel. And then once we've had our stream like we're doing right here and we've talked about it, then we will shuffle that down into the post category where you can continue talking about it. And we may or may not change anything depending, because both of us have to do post production stuff after the streams in order to have our actual videos going live. You've already seen one of my videos, and you'll be seeing his relatively shortly. So,
yeah, and that's
probably tomorrow. I'm thinking that should be. I'll be ready to go.
It'll be as quick as yours. I can give you that.
You got 2 weeks then.
Yeah, exactly.
You got 2 weeks.
So
because I did that crap in 2 weeks.
But as
in
I was
my
saying,
spare time.
and that's what I was talking about when we were working on it with the infrastructure and stuff. It'll be quite cool, as the kids say. Quite cool.
We've been debating the pineapple plot, Federation Builder. We'll get back to that in a minute.
We'll be getting into it in a second. On my side, I'm not sure how completely you're doing it on your side, guys, but for right now, I'm going to show you part of the animation that he put together explaining the rules. Going on from there, though, we'll have it as a specific video that you can see both on his channel and mine to kind of work with each other, and that way we won't have to do this every time. But if you guys are not at the Lore Runner YouTube channel, you need to check it out, and this is going to be exactly why. I'm about to hit it right now so you guys can watch it. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, it's going to be funny. And here we go.
This will also cover,
And
in
I'm just
brief,
gonna
the general rules we've been following. Rule 1, no limits. That's actually a lie. But the general idea is we're doing this as if we had access to a holodeck and we were just remaking Star Trek within it. No limitations of time, or budget, or cast, or producers, or any of that other crap. That's all gone. We're just making some stuff that we want to make as good as we can. This leads me immediately to Rule 2. We are limiting ourselves to what already existed. We don't add a season to Enterprise, much as we would love to, and we don't add movies. We also don't subtract. Every episode and every movie has to be filled with something. This leads nicely into Rule 3. Continuity is key. Lore Reloaded likes to say that we're Babylon 5ing this, and I like there really is to make all of Star Trek one cohesive whole. This is one of the reasons why we're so keen on feedback from you all, because this is a group project after all, and getting more voices and getting more perspectives, in my opinion, tends to help when it comes to writing projects. We may not take every suggestion you guys give, but we absolutely read them. With all that out of the way, let's start talking about some of the actual setting points, shall we? Point 1. Transporters. Originally designed to save money when it comes to landing the ship over and over, because this is a show that was made in the 60s, they unfortunately introduced dozens, if not hundreds, of problems to the writing staff who had to constantly find ways around them in order to make it so the adventure wasn't over in 10 minutes. Our solution to this is simple. Transporters work, kind of, not really. You can beam down, and maybe about 10% of the time, you might actually show up in a cohesive pile. The other 90% of the time, you will wish you died. Oh, don't worry, there is still a way to beam. After all, if there wasn't, there wouldn't be much of a point. All you need is a pad. You need to go from one point to another, a receiver and a transceiver. Having done so, you now effectively are making a portal between the two locations, and thus it is safe to transit. So transiting in between ships that both have transporters, or up and down from an established planet, or to a space station, no problem. Anywhere else? Well, you should probably take the shuttle down. There are a couple of exceptions, but all of these are going to be case-by-case specifics. If you ever encounter a species that actually has the ability to beam without a receiver pad, you're in trouble. Next up is the Universal Translator, which doesn't exist, kind of, technically. Instead, what we have is the Translator, which is a device which immediately and on-the-fly translates language into, well, English in our case, but whatever language that is that they can understand so that they can understand them. That language has to be programmed in, studied, and properly adjusted to fit the program. Thus, these updates have to go out regularly as they encounter new races. This also gives quite a bit to do for people who are linguists or otherwise communication specialists. Replicators cannot magically create anything. There are limitations. We haven't gone down the full laundry list of limitations, but the general idea is there are certain materials they simply cannot fabricate, and other materials can only be fabricated within a certain limitation. The more complex the molecules they're trying to replicate, the less likely they are to succeed. The Prime Directive is not an overall guiding principle which everyone must adhere to always and forever. Instead, it is a guideline of Prime Directive of non-interference, aka use your brain and try not to interfere as much as you can, but at the same time, if you can help, maybe you probably should think about it. Consoles exploding! No, they don't. That's stupid. Time travel! Much harder to do. Much less present, much less over the top. And that about covers it for all the major changes.
And we're back. Now you can talk. Bet you regret all that, don't you? Yeah.
So, just so you know, my stream could hear you that entire time.
I figured they could. Could they hear the other stuff, though?
No.
Okay, that's why I was kind of talking, too, just to have other content on your side.
I was staying quiet to be polite. My biggest regret with that, I'm actually really happy with how it turned out, to be completely honest. But my biggest regret is I put so many dinky little things no one's ever going to notice in any of that. Like, did you catch, you asked if that was the NX-01. Did you catch that each point was covered by a different show? Enterprise, TOS,
yeah.
TNG, DS9, Voyager, in order.
And you were using characters from those too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons it took me so long, is because I had to do a lot of infrastructure work and backgrounds and characters for all the shows.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I got to decide who's this and this, and what am I going to do for the ship and what am I going to do for the terrain? And it just, I had to answer so many questions just to have a 10-second scene from TOS.
And everybody loved it. All right, so now we're back to talking. We don't have to go over any of that. Today we'll be talking about Silent Enemy and Horizon. Which
Why are you so quiet, Brad? I just checked my audio settings.
I can move up for you if you'd like me to. I'm close. I'm not leaning back like I usually am.
Boost you on Zoom?
Let me know if I am quiet to you guys. Probably not on my side, but I might be to Runner's side, so let me know. Unless you're doing it. Is it the Trexel Enterprise, I'd say. I don't think he's going to use Trexel Enterprise.
What the heck is Trexel?
It's a
would
game.
Be my answer to that.
It's a game that you can play, and you get to do the Enterprise.
Gotcha. Well, then no.
Am I any better? I can speak up. Is that better? Hello.
I'm looking up how to boost your audio.
In there. Shall we begin while you're looking that up? Or
Yeah, go ahead.
It's fine. So were we going to do Silent Enemy or Horizon first?
Let's do Silent Enemy first.
All right, so Silent Enemy would be the next one. Just so you know, Dear Doctor doesn't exist. We're not doing it because it's a horrific one, and we would literally just be rewriting it anyway. If we had to do Dear Doctor, it would not be what you guys have seen. So it would literally just be a different episode. So instead of doing that, we're going to take Horizon from Season 2 and bring it into this, where we're going to slot it where Dear Doctor should have been.
Do you mind if I interrupt really quick, please?
Yeah, of course. Anytime, baby.
How does this audio sound? Because I found a setting and I adjusted it, and I want to know if that sounds any better. Second question. The Beppo asks a very relevant question. Now, this is actually a question that was already answered in that video, but obviously you weren't watching that video on my end. So one of the things we're doing with Enterprise is we have 4 seasons to work with, right? But season 1 and 2 are both kind of superfluous, and we want to do something else with season 4. So season 4, we're going to be doing something else with. Season 3 is going to be season 4, effectively, or season 2 is going to be season 4. No, season 2 is going to be season 4, right? Because then season 3 is going to be season 3.
Sure. I was reading comments. I'm going to agree.
No,
with you
no,
regardless
this
of what
is a
you just
legitimate.
said.
Well, no, this is a legitimate question.
So
now
what
that I'm
was the
thinking
question?
about it.
So
Well, okay.
season 4 is going to be season 3?
Is 4 going to be 3 or 2? Is the question. Now, I like the idea of 4 being 3, but it occurred to me we could do it either way. It depends on how we want to do it. But if we want 4 to lead into you know what, then moving into 3 makes the most sense.
Okay.
Like,
we can discuss that offline.
Anyway, so the point is, if you're paying attention, this means that season 1 and 2 are both being smashed into season 1. So, as a direct consequence of that, in answer to your question, we've basically been giving ourselves freebies of occasional episodes or movies and just grabbing them and throwing them out the window. This is not exclusive to Enterprise, by the way. We've actually already done this with Star Trek V, the movie, where we just took Star Trek V and threw it out the window and came up with a completely new plot that connected 4 and 6 together. So that's the general reasoning. We don't do this constantly. We try to limit ourselves, but in general, we do want to give ourselves some freedom because there's no Rick Berman sitting above us.
Right.
So it's like...
And, I mean, to that point, I will, on occasion, try to hold us to that standard. Just not a lot. Just because I think we're smart enough. I wonder what the intriguing dilemma is you're talking about. I'm not completely sure. There's nothing about Dear Doctor that is necessarily all that intriguing to me. So, I mean, it's possible if there is something that we like a dilemma that we want to use, we can use it at a different point. But I don't even mean that in a negative way. I'm just, what's the intriguing dilemma? Because if you bring up a good point, we can always just bring it up later. But looking specifically at Silent Enemy and Horizon, Silent Enemy, for those who have not watched it recently,
it's not the other one, it's the first one. We both made that mistake.
There were two of them. So this one involves them coming up upon a ship that won't respond to any type of communications. Comes by, looks at them, leaves, comes back, scans them, and leaves. Comes back, fires on them, and then comes back and tries to destroy them without any understanding. Also boards the ship and scans the people. I don't think we ever see them again or ever have any kind of...
We don't. I looked it up when I was doing the
interaction.
elimination.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Never come back, ever. Even though they're so close that they're within they're within a couple weeks of Earth.
Right.
At warp 5, but we never hear from these people again.
Right.
Unless you're counting one model reuse, which I'm not, by the way, because it's just a model reuse, just like TNG and DS9 did all the time.
See, I like the way Federation, you've been talking to Federation Builder, I see. You've been sharing our secrets. So, one of the things we're going to do is, and then their attack, they decide to go back to Jupiter Station to get the refit. And both Tucker and Malcolm think that they can, not Malcolm, Tucker and Reed. Yeah, it is Malcolm Reed.
It is Malcolm, yeah.
Yeah. Tucker and Reed, or Tucker and Malcolm, think that they can do the installations just as well as Jupiter Station could. It's kind
just
of a
as well.
stretch.
I'm sorry if I could jump in. Just as well as a team of people with an entire facility.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Dedicated to retro. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And I was about to say that, which is, that's a little bit of a stretch, but we can we'll just ignore that for a second. And so we are going to refit a couple of things. So it is actually going to be the Tholians. This is going to be a world builder and future arc, because we've already talked about how the Tholians are going to be a constant. They're going to play a little bit of a role, though we haven't gone completely into it. One of the things we are also doing is that when you look at where Enterprise is going, now for those who have been observant, like Runner, you can see that they were doing like a spiral type thing. If you weren't observant like me, you just assumed they were going in a straight line to see what they could find. In this version, we're going to have them be going in a straight line just to see what they can find, specifically into areas of space that the Vulcans have not gone into, so that humans can find it versus Vulcans actually being able to find it.
If you happen to have a map, like the official map, which I have, or like the Star Trek Online map, it's pretty much straight southwest is the direction they're going.
Right.
That is actually relevant, too, because that means they're going towards Tholian space, among other things.
Right. And so what happens is that they're going along their merry way, and they come upon this ship that looks pretty alien. Even T'Pol has no idea what it is. It's going to be a Tholian ship. And the first attempts at conversation, they're just not going to. They're not going to have any kind. And in fact, we're going to keep that. I believe we're going to keep that. The Tholians aren't going to attempt any kind of communication with Enterprise at any point.
Not in this episode, no.
Well, yeah. And so it really goes kind of like you saw before, just with the change that it's the Tholians and that they're... honestly, I'm trying to think about it. There's not really a lot of changes we were going to do with that till the end a little bit. We are ejecting, for the moment, the secondary plot with the pineapple and the birthday and everything.
Because it's stupid.
Yeah, and it'll come up a little bit later. But
let me correct that. It's stupid in this episode. It's a decent enough subplot, but it has no place in here.
Right.
At all.
And to your point, when we were talking about this in the pre-show, because sometimes we have pre-shows, they're under this significant amount of attack. The vessel could be destroyed at any point. They got no idea what's going on. They're trying to massively update their ship while not in a facility designed to update ships. And she's running around trying to figure out what he likes for his birthday. So that's that just doesn't make a lot of sense. And so we're just going to get rid of that. It will be a Malcolm-focused episode where Malcolm is going to be the one to update and to get Malcolm and Tucker get the weapons working. The only other thing I think we were going to be removing was when the phasers attacked, when they had that mega attack that does massive amounts of damage, the recoil will continue to damage the ship. It's always going to be an option for them, but they haven't found a way to fix it. Not just a one-liner. It's like, oh, we can fix it, and now I can fire this powerful all the time. If
you don't remember, and I'll actually throw this to the thresher in my rumination of this episode when it goes live, and by which I might already have, they're like, oh my god, it nearly destroyed the ship, and it blew out all these things, and nearly took out an entire deck. But wait, fixed.
Right.
That's gone.
Well, not only that, it made it better. They
improved the damage by...
Well, no, they improved the damage and it increased structural integrity.
Yep, because that's not incredibly stupid.
Right, because, recoil, something that shakes the ship, will make it more powerful.
Now, maybe this is just the video game designer in me, but I like the idea of cost-benefit, right? That's one of the reasons I'm pushing for that idea, is that they still have these mega cannons, right? It's something they can use if they get, and it allows the ship to punch above their weight class, because remember, the humans are pretty new around the block, and they're not really a dominant power. The only thing they have going for them is the fact that they have one Warp 5 ship and an alliance with the Vulcans. That's it. So this allows them to kind of hang in areas they otherwise wouldn't. It's just they can't do so freely. It is going to cost them every single shot.
Right. They'll still take damage. Was there anything else that I missed on that? I just realized, wow, we didn't rewrite much of this at all.
We really didn't, truthfully. This is one of those episodes that could be smoothed out pretty easily. We never really replaced the B-plot with anything, but I don't think we need to. I think we could just have more scenes focused on Reed and just have him... trying to figure out his way to deal with this, and maybe add some character moments of the pride he feels in the ship, and the fact that maybe we could restructure it so instead of going back to Jupiter, no, we've got it. Instead, maybe it's more like, let's start going back to Jupiter, and on the way, let's work on it just in case.
Right.
Which I think is a much better framing for that. And then as it happens, the Tholian ship does show up, so they did need the just in case, so it's justified, as opposed to just, we can just do this.
Right. And it'll always, the attack they have will always have an option. They'll always have the option to use it, and the ship itself takes some damage. So it'll be something that can come up again.
I should be jotting this down.
There'll be another piece to it too towards the end. Unless there's anything else, I guess we can talk about the ending. Was there anything else?
So are we going to leave the log at the end, or are we just going to eject that entirely?
We were going to eject that entirely so we can use it in the Horizon, which I cannot remember that name of that episode to save my life.
It's okay. The only reason I mention it is I'm okay with ejecting it. All right, so go ahead.
Yeah, because remember we didn't want to double up.
Yeah.
So the ending, for the most part, is going to be similar to what we've seen with.
Hang on, real quick. Federation Builder brings up a good point. We tossed around loosely the idea of Daniels and Silic being involved in the cannons before they were plucked back. Do we want to include that, or do we want them to just be on the ship while this is happening? Because one way or another, they're on the ship.
That was an important piece.
They are present. That it's worth noting. They have not left the ship yet.
That's right. Didn't we talk about how they were there to help against this issue?
Mm-hmm. And then like that's why they were left here. And
that's what we were forgetting, because they couldn't return.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell. Well, I'm glad Federation Builder was there, because they were just all of a sudden...
I admittedly had forgotten about that.
All of a sudden, yeah. It's just, at the end of our episode, both of them would look up, and it's like, I feel like we haven't accomplished anything. And then they both...
Why are we still here? And then they're beamed off.
Yeah, all of a sudden they're like, wait a second, did they forget about us? And then they get beamed off.
Although if we're going to do that, what should happen is there needs to be an episode in the future where they need the overcharged, and I mean need the overcharged cannons, and nothing else would do. And we just need to make a note to put that in somewhere.
Here's what we could do. Here's how we write that and make it all make sense now. With the overcharge originally isn't something that Malcolm comes up with or anything. They don't know what to do, and both Selick and Daniels work together to make the weapons even more powerful than what we see in the episode, while keeping the same amount of tech. But they just, because it's the future, they rewired or whatever. Malcolm figures out how to do it without it destroying the ship. It still hurts the ship pretty badly, but doesn't destroy it. Mm-hmm. And then they're brought away. So, I mean, we would rewrite a little bit at the beginning where they're both in their own cells. They're being interrogated, and they're like, well, we don't have no idea why we're here either. We're just as confused as you are. None of our technology is working. And then they get attacked, and then Daniels, I don't know, somehow we have Daniels and Archer, and Daniels and Malcolm having a conversation. Here's what I would do. You'd have, I don't know how I'd get Malcolm in there, but Malcolm, for whatever reason, is at the cell where Daniels and Selick is, and he's got to work on something. Maybe a bulkhead goes down in that area for whatever reason, because it's vital to whatever, because, stupid design. And Daniels is able to parse out what's going on, and he asks him, have you tried redoing whatever? And they're having a conversation, and then Daniels is like, yeah, I can't figure that out. I don't think that's going to work. And then Selick speaks up and says, well, what if you rerouted it this way? They look over at him confused, and Selick pauses a second. He's like, do you really think I'd come on this vessel without knowing how exactly it works or looking at schematics?
No.
And then they get it working that way.
If we have Future Guy who he already is in actual canon, that would make even more sense.
Well, yeah,
because Future Guy would know the exact info to give him.
Well, yeah, we had already canonized that without them knowing, obviously, but us. I thought that was already a understanding.
Yeah, no, it's amusing to me to think about that. So okay, one thing I would add if we're doing that, which I'm totally for, there would have to be a scene. They have the thing, and it's like, oh, that's a good idea. And maybe have one, maybe two, but one feels like it would be enough. Additional scene where they go back to the prison cell and get what do you think we should do with this? Well, have you tried this? Well, what do we do this? Try this. Okay, and then he runs back and then he tries the thing and it nearly blows out the ship, right?
Right.
And this would be like towards the end of the first act, and they would have to this would then lead to the dilemma where Tucker and Reed and team need to figure out how to minimize the damage, not get rid of the damage. And at some point, one of them, probably Tucker, would go back to the prison thing to give him a piece of his mind. Like, you're blowing up my engines, blowing up my ship. They're gone.
Yeah, that would, yeah. And they can't find them or whatever. And it just,
they're just gone.
Right.
They have.
Yeah, we could have Malcolm do it without even maybe it could get kiboshed, and Malcolm just decides to take the initiative, and Tucker just gets so angry that he's not going to take it out on Malcolm. He decides to take it out on the guys who gave him the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And, it could be a thing where they don't have guards in the cells there, do they? When they're watching them?
Well, we never really 100% decided when we're adding Makos to the show.
Yeah, but do they have guards anyway in the cells? They don't generally.
But
okay.
The reason I bring up the Makos is those would be the guards if they were there, and if they're not, then no.
Sure. Well, I mean, do they have guards there? Anytime we saw a cell in the OG
in Enterprise?
Yes.
No.
I don't. Yeah. So
not that I have seen, which is through season 2. They might have added one in season 3, but again, Makos.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think that works. I like that. And then the rest can go the way it did. Then we finally got rid of them.
Mm-hmm. Jotting down notes, don't mind me. If you want to go into the final scene here, I'll mute myself.
Yeah, okay. So the only other piece, I didn't know if you were adding anything. So the only other piece was towards the ending. We have a conversation. Again, the B plot's gone for right now. We have a conversation, and they're kind of celebrating because Malcolm and Tucker figured it out. Now we have this more powerful weapon. It's really kind of a one-shot thing. We're not going to do it all the time, or the ship will explode. And they're having their drinks or whatever. And even Archer might say, we need celebrations at some point. And there's a pause with Reed, and he says, there's a couple things I need to go do, and if you'll excuse me. And so Reed turns to walk out. He walks out of wherever they are, turns the corner, and begins walking off. And the camera actually stays there, doesn't go with Reed. And it's looking up at an angle at the corner of the room. And you can just barely see something, and all of a sudden it zooms in, and you see the same device that you saw earlier, just much, much smaller. The alien device where they were using to watch them or whatever. And so it shows a much smaller version of that. We then have a cut where you see the Tholians, basically, what they look like. They're talking in their language. We don't have any subtitles or anything like that. And they're looking on the screen, and they see Malcolm leave. So it's a device where they've been watching them. After a few seconds from Malcolm leaving, it glitches out, glitches again, and then it just goes dead. And so they're talking in their language. It'll only be a couple of seconds. The one of the aliens, one of the Tholians who was watching the screen, will look up and look to another Tholian, use the language again. Through some fun cinematography or some use of body language, it will seem like that the second Tholian pauses and then reaches down to hit a button and begins talking, and then it just cuts. And so we don't know what they're saying or what's going on, but it looks like...
Do we still want to have the captain shot I talked about for the main Tholian, the Tholian commander?
That's what I was talking about there. I may not have described
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the person who was punching in things. Never mind. Ignore me.
Well, that was the captain, where there was just a pause for...
Oh, so he's... Okay, I get you.
See, so the one Tholian is sitting there talking to the other, and then the second Tholian, I just didn't say who they were. The second Tholian looks reticent. He pauses through body language and then reaches down and begins hitting buttons and talking and things like that. And then it just cuts. And we don't know what's going on. We just see their side of it. Mm-hmm. And that would be the end of that episode. I mean, you can re-describe it if I didn't do a good job.
No, I'm with it. I'm also partially thinking of storyboarding since I'm going to have to animate these things.
Right. So, yeah, and then we go into the second one, which I didn't get to completely finish, which was all on my side. So I'm going to let you talk about that one for the most part. I've seen almost all of it, but I haven't gotten to see exactly all of it.
So as a fresh reminder, and honestly, I kind of wish we were doing this a little bit more organized, but neither of us have had the time. We're grabbing certain episodes. We're smashing season 1 and 2 together. And so we're kind of picking and choosing. We have the pick of the litter here. And one of the episodes in season 2 that I think was legitimately good was Horizon. And I feel like this is a good position for it in the world building section of the story, where we're still trying to establish the Old West feel, or rather, for those of you not aware, the real Old West feel, because anyone who knows anything about the Old West will know that the Old West is all about the Old West going away. The actual Old West is usually not the stuff you see in Westerns. So we're going to focus on Horizon. It's still going to be a Travis-centric episode, hopefully not the last one. And Travis, the A-plot is almost untouched, really. The A-plot works perfectly fine. He goes over to the Horizon. We get the little world building. They have to grab the corridors whenever they go into warp because it's that old. This thing can barely go warp 2. It's one of the older ships out here. His dad died weeks ago, and he didn't even get word about it because communication is that sparse. They have to constantly be running freight in order to make ends meet, and they're constantly being replaced by the new ships. All this stuff is good. It's actually great world building. It's weird for an episode that's so far into season 2 of the actual show. You can see why we're shoving it forwards. And then Bounty Hunter Phlox comes in and says, I'm here to kill you all. No, that's not what happens.
Does it just like that?
He does. He does this. I can't do the really psychotic smile or just the V, but I can't do it.
Kentwalski does it great. I'm sorry that we still don't have him.
Yeah, he did that voice way too well. So that episode, it's almost untouched. The only major changes we're making to the A plot is that Mr. Reloaded didn't decide which idea he liked better, but we're doing one of two ideas here.
Which
because either, and I'll go ahead and toss this out with regards to you all can get in on this as well, but either we're doing the idea that these pirates are low tier pirates,
between those two,
who have decided to start picketing, EarthGov and Vulcan lanes because, I mean, the other pirates just left. Remember, we actually had a whole thing about that in a previous episode. So now it's free pickings. And then the Horizon will successfully defend itself against these people, further emphasizing the point of the frontier being pushed back. Or, and this could also work, we have these be the Nausicaan pirates, not the exact same ones, but the same general group as the Nausicaan pirates, which are a higher tier. And they're trying to hit the Horizon as one last game. They just need one. I just need one big score, Arthur. And if they get this one last score, then they're going to take it and peace out and try to go in a different direction from this expanding sphere of influence. And then they get defeated, which still gets across the same general point that they are out of date, out of touch, and they're losing. So one of those two general ideas. Vulcan pirates. Nope. Okay, next idea.
Vulcan extreme logic pirates.
That's right. They show up and say, "We are here." I don't. You're gonna have to explain that one, Federation Bill, because I don't actually get that one at all. Ferengi? No. I have other plans.
They're only on the opposite side of the thing. It would make every bit of sense for them to.
For the Ferengi to be within spitting distance of Earth? Absolutely.
Even though they're closer to Bajor than they are Earth.
Oh my God. So Beppo says he likes the Nausicaan idea, and that's the only feedback I've heard so far, other than the Vulcan idea.
Yeah, the only problem is, and it doesn't have to be a problem, but the small world cliche.
I admit, the older I've gotten, the less I've cared about small world in writing. I mean, you're right; it's a valid complaint. I don't want to sound like it isn't, but if given the choice between having a connection and having a race of the week, I will almost always pick a connection. Mm-hmm. I was thinking Orions, but the problem is I would have Orions be tier 3, where the Nausicaans are tier 2 and the local dudes are tier 1, right? And so if we're going to use Orions, then Horizon would have to lose because there's no way. And then the Enterprise would have to save them, which we could do, and that would get across a completely different point. The idea that the ship is, that EarthGov is capable and willing to defend some of their lanes, and it's just, I don't know, it feels thematically like that doesn't work.
I don't want that point. They still have to defend themselves.
Yeah, I think I agree with Reloaded on that one.
So, and I mean we can do the Nausicaan. The only other thing is we can then have a tie-in that they recognize this was part of Malcolm's ship, part of Federation's crew, so it's personal for both sides. If we wanted to do that.
No, I think that might be too small worlds.
Oh.
Like, I'm okay with the small worlds thing. I like the Nausicaan idea. The more I'm thinking about it, the more I've processed, the more I say that out loud. I like the idea of it being... It's not the Nausicaans from Fortunate Son. It's one of the Nausicaan. It is a Nausicaan pirate group who's like, before we go, one last score. Flunk. Yeah, the Sulaban. We may be ejecting them entirely. It hasn't come up yet, but I've been zooming out the camera, and I know Mr. Reloaded has as well. And they're not on the map.
Yeah, we haven't used them a lot.
They are not on the map at all. Like, Silic is it. That is it. And he is from the future. Right. Remember, we restructured that. He's not from this timeline. He's actually from the future as we've designed it. So,
yeah, I don't know.
We'll think about that in the future. But
so I think we can both agree, though, that when Horizon starts out, the very first thing we have is the Nausicaans and they're drinking, and there'll be subtitles, and they clash the things together, and they say, "Take all you can and give none of it back," and then it goes to how we saw.
So the more I'm talking about this, I think we should just make it a Nausicaan group or a Nausicaan ship that's like going for one last score, and the Horizon defends. The brother, whose name I can't remember, forgive me, but Travis's brother gets into the command chair, makes the command decision, gets supported by Travis. The two make the call. They defend against it. And there's a big, important thematic point that's actually in the episode, too, and that's that there's nothing wrong with being a frontier person, and there's nothing wrong with being a civilized person. And when Travis and his brother work together, that's when they actually win. So I'm down with maintaining that in the actual episode, in our episode.
Right.
So then they defeat the Nausicaa and it's gone, and then we have the B plot.
Right. So just to reiterate the A plot, so people know, for those who haven't seen it, basically, I keep wanting to say Malcolm and what's the actual person? Travis, that's right. Mayweather. For some reason, I get them confused. Travis wants to go to the horizon. The only minor change we have there is that the interaction they had with the other ship kind of made him homesick, plus his dad. He goes there, and then basically it goes, like we said, beyond that, with issues with the brother and them going back and forth, civilized versus frontiersmen and all that good stuff. The B plot itself, this is actually where we're going to bring in the pineapple and bring in the... instead of it being Malcolm's birthday, they're going to be celebrating the fact that they weren't completely destroyed by the other vessel. So that they now have this fancy new weapon as well that they can use, or they have a mega weapon part of it. And part of it is putting the celebration together for both Tucker and Reed. And for Tucker, it's kind of easy because, they can get everything. But when they start trying to research Malcolm, what he likes, who he is, where he's from, when they start trying to research anything about him, they start getting hit with roadblocks. With, it gets so bad that Hoshi is trying to figure out what his favorite food is. And so she tries to contact Starfleet Command because she can't figure out where his parents are. It's just confusing. So she contacts Starfleet Command, and even they won't answer where his parents are, or who his parent. They won't even confirm that he has parents. Like you do it a lot better than me. Like the confusion's like, no, I don't need that. I don't.
So imagine she's on the call. We don't hear the other side of the conversation, right. And so she's like, no, I just want to find out. I'm just trying to get a hold of his parent. No, I don't have Sigma 9. Why would I need Sigma 9 to contact his parent? Just put me on the... Do you have a roster? Like previous ship? Anything?
Right. And so it's just roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And after a couple of days, or then we'll go back to Travis. Then when we come back, Hoshi's actually contacted by his parents. And we get almost the exact same thing we did in the original episode, where his parents... all they really talk about is how his dad wanted him to be a navalman. They can talk about things on the service record that they're aware of, but they don't talk to their son a lot. And when it comes to like specifics, like what does he like, they push back. They're not willing. Oh well, we don't know. He never really.
He just eats whatever.
He just ate whatever. Yeah, and even when she tries to get specifics or ask something that she would know about, they either just try to dodge it, or they just don't seem all that interested in it. And so she gets nowhere with it, right? And for all intents and purposes, the focus would be there, but overall it would go the same, where she eats with him and I don't know, do we eject that the scene where Hoshi looks like she's coming on to him? She is really bad about that, by the way. I don't know.
Just eject that. It's awkward. It's embarrassing. It doesn't serve either of the characters.
I don't know if you've noticed that. They've done that 3 or 4 times.
I know.
Where it looks like Hoshi's coming on to him, and it's either just left there, or she has to correct, I'm not interested. I don't know why they did that, but... I'd
pull Mr. Berman in here, but he's not in the room right now, so you're just going to have to imagine him. There we go. One other thing, though, I just realized this as I'm typing up our summaries here. Back in Silent Enemy, I hate to jump back an episode. Back in Silent Enemy, we need to have a scene, and you can push back against me and tell me I'm stupid and awful and terrible and horrible, but we need to have a scene where they encounter the ship, the totally alien ship that's definitely not the Tholians, and they're like, oh, God, we're undergunned. And Archer needs to basically freeze up. He needs to... We've actually seen this a few times in Star Trek, where the commander doesn't know how to command and doesn't know what order to give, and he just kind of... and then DePaul jumps in, and she's the one who's like, okay, do this, get the shields up. I don't actually have shields. Get this ship back in place, try to turn us around, get us a course right back for Jupiter Station immediately. And then she goes to, Tucker and Reed and says, you have 8 hours to go and try and figure out something with the thing. And she just takes charge, is the whole point.
Well, and I mean, we could have the scene where it's like, get the shields back up, and Reed looks up. He's like, you mean, what are you talking about, sir? You mean the polarized plating? And he looks back,
and then
he's
she
like, that's what I said.
Punches him.
No, Archer's like, no, that's what I said.
No, it's not like, Archer, to Paul. Very important.
Huh? No. I was trying to make a joke where Archer says, "Get the
I know
polarized plane."
I know. I'm
But I
destroying your joke because
did
it's
destroy
dumb. It's
it.
so dumb. Not you. The freaking plating is so dumb. I hate it. It's just shields. It's just
You
shields.
don't let me do jokes.
Just say it's shields. It's
my
not that
friends.
hard. You don't get to do jokes.
In front
It
of my-
doesn't work that way. You can only play jokes
It's only-
when you're on. Oh, well, you are on your channel. Never
It's
mind.
only you don't do this when our friends are present. I'm just saying.
Listen, I'm
You're
gonna
a
beat you
different
later,
person.
but for right now,
You're a different person when our friends.
I'm bringing the belt out. I'm just saying.
It's okay, guys. He just has bad days sometimes. And wow,
I have
that's a
awful
really
days.
dirty joke.
But that's
He needs to move
terrible.
away. Yeah,
That's terrible.
That's a bad joke.
Oh my god.
Why do we
Anyways,
go into wrong jokes?
the point
This is
is
going to be on Reddit. Watch.
oh Jesus Christ. I don't want this to be my first entry into Reddit. Hey, did you know that there's this runner guy?
Won't be my first, so I'm pulling you into that realm if it makes you feel better. Out of context clips for the win, baby. All right. Sorry.
So point is to politics command, blah blah blah. I just wanted to jump in there real quick. Did we have anything else to add for the pineapple plot?
Beyond the push, and then he's like, I loved pine. I mean, yeah, everything else is the same, I think. There's not really a lot to add to it.
But I'm not, I mean, no offense to anyone who is, of course, but I'm not actually gay. That's the funny part.
Oh, no, I wasn't even talking about the gay thing. I don't even care about that.
No, I'm responding to Braywin in chat.
Okay, I was saying, it was more about the fact that I was pretending like you were an abusive spouse, and I was making excuses for you. It had nothing else. It was much worse than that. Wait a second. If you were gay, you wouldn't be with me, though?
No.
Oh. What about me?
I would never be with you. That would be
what
so
about-
horrible.
what about me?
You
It's
would
not-
not
it's not-
want to be with me.
What about that?
I work 10-hour days. No one would want to be with me.
I know, but you make I can spend your money, though.
That's true, and that would be so. Why does anybody do that? By the way, that makes no sense.
It's a relationship of convenience.
But you don't get anything out of it. It's a transaction.
It is a
And
transaction.
you're supposed to get and also give.
Okay,
no,
so
I'm supposed to get something out of it, and you are only one getting
What
something
would
out
you
of it.
like
in that
out
case.
of it? What can I give you in our homosexual?
All right, so I need you to grab this gun.
Okay, I'm so far I'm okay with it. This goes in weird ways. This is just the weirdest.
Well, I'm still typing up my notes for Silent Enemy here.
Yeah, I'm arm candy. There you go. I bring you into legitimate. You're YouTube royalty.
But that's
with me.
useless.
YouTube royalty with me.
All of that's useless.
Trust. Plus, I'm told I'm a heater, so I can keep you warm those long cold nights. What the hell is wrong with us, man?
No, I prefer
dude.
cold. The cold never bothered me anyway.
Yeah.
I don't. So okay, hang on. I'm
Okay.
still thinking about this Archer to Paul thing, and I don't know when we want to do this because I don't think we have room in Silent Enemy or in Horizon. So hear me out here. But I want to have a follow through where at some point Archer needs to take T'Pol aside and basically try to read her the riot act for taking command from him in the middle of a crisis, and her smacking him right back down and saying, "You had frozen up. All I was doing was trying to jump in and recover this." And he's like, "You just want my command." And she's like, "I don't deny that I find an uncomfortable level of enjoyment from command, but at no point have I ever tried to steal yours, sir." And they just have this big scene where the two confront each other and they start to hash out some of the issues that are that are boiling under the characters we develop. But that needs space to grow, and that's
In
why
the
I'm thinking,
third-
where should we put that?
So in their arcs, that's more, I think, a second conflict, like if you're looking at how you generally write movies and everything, that would be towards the end of the arc, and I don't think we're there yet. We're like, what, 10 episodes in or something like that, so I'm not completely sure. That would be almost towards the end. You know those... we wouldn't do it exactly like this because they suck, but where it's like you have the big conflict and everybody stops working together only to pull back
I
together.
hate that trope, by the way. Can I just say that?
I understand, but
I hate that trope so much.
That's where that'd be slotted. It just, they don't go away. That's where we'd slot that. So I don't think we're there yet.
I don't mind pushing it back. Federation Builder had a decent idea. We could make it so that Archer is passive-aggressively giving orders. Passive-aggressively just micromanaging things and just trying to be terrible, for lack of a better way to put it. Like a bad boss. And to Paul is just kind of chafing at it. And you don't even have to acknowledge it. We don't need a scene. Just have it there so we see that Archer is bristling against her and she is bristling under him, and neither of them are particularly fond of the current setup. And they just have that as part of Horizon.
You mean Silent Enemy?
Nope, I mean Horizon.
What happens in Horizon? Oh,
well,
where this is just after?
It's just happening in the background. Like it could literally be 2 total scenes. Like towards the beginning, I don't remember if you saw the beginning of a Horizon. It's like, hey, there's this ship and we need to go there, so I'll set a course and blah blah blah. But instead of like the normal set a course and whatever, Archer just kind of is a dick about it. He's passive aggressive about it. He's micromanaging, and he's just, oh yeah, I need this and this, and make sure, sub commander, to do this and this and this, and I also need this done as well. And she's just like, I'm aware of how to find a human ship, and she's almost like a little confused at how hard he's coming down on her for this, you know. Mm-hmm. And then that's it. That little scene right at the very beginning, and then maybe one other towards the middle to latter half of the episode when we're on Enterprise, like maybe as he's trying to figure out what's going on with the Reed situation. They're also scanning some stupid gas giant or whatever, and he starts being like, and she's like, I am aware of how to scan a gas giant, Captain. You do not have to, and just have that there to show the sparks, right? To show them, not the good kind of sparks, the metal scraping on metal is what I'm trying to imply here.
Okay, I mean that kind of is how they've been working before, anyway. But if we want to emphasize it here, I suppose, are we? Okay, that's fine. I like it. Bregwin says, I swear to God, you two are the gayest straight couple I've
That's
ever
what I was
seen.
responding to. I said that.
I didn't.
I responded to that directly. I see how I'm watching your chat and my chat. You're apparently only watching one of them, and it's neither of them actually. You can't stop looking at me.
Yeah, I just, when I was eating that taco, it was you I was thinking of.
I've actually had someone ask, what did that taste like?
It was not it was sweet and salty at the same time and crunchy. It wasn't good. I didn't like it.
It sounded terrible, honestly. Like I saw your expression, because I chopped it out for the video, obviously, but your expression afterwards was just, oh, whoa.
It was pretty bad, and I ate it several times. People didn't see. Yeah, there's several.
Yeah, no, he did several takes. I picked what I consider to be the best one for the shot.
But anyway, okay. So we got that. We got that on Horizon. Wow, that's interesting. Was there any other piece to it that we wanted to, or did we really?
I'm looking at my notes now, because apparently we really need to be double checking our notes here.
Whoa.
Let's see here.
I hate autoplay on Netflix. I hate it so much.
Me too. We've got the Horizon thing. We've got the Marauders thing, which is causing the issue. Yep, we're following through on that. We can't follow through on that yet, and I don't remember what we did before that because I haven't taken notes for that. No, I think that's actually pretty good. Do you want to mention the other thing?
Well, I was going to ask you, we're an hour in. You'd have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. We could try another episode real quick, but that's kind of
actually
off the fly.
It's not quite what I meant, but we could totally do that.
No, that's just something I was asking. But the other thing, are you talking about the future thing real quick? Yeah, no. I was going to do that at the end. That's why I was asking this first. We could end it an hour early, which is crazy.
So Sleeping Dogs is the next episode.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
No.
So this episode sucks. It's our first real Klingon episode, and it's bad is the nicest possible way I could say it. What they do is they find this Klingon ship. It's a Raptor, it's the first Raptor in the shows actually, and it's in a gas giant, which is already silly.
And they're trying to save it,
it's falling down, and
lower,
there's a whole lot of nonsense tech, which I'm just going to roll over. But also in addition to that, there's also the Klingons, which are all, what's the nicest way I could put this? They're all incredibly stupid, like to the point of being silly. And actually kind of ridiculous. They would do Klingons better later on in Enterprise, but this, no. And I don't, no, not belligerent, actively stupid, actively self-sabotaging. These people are so dumb. They also, I'm not even going to talk about the Klingon language thing, which they just solve in a passing line of dialogue. Like this episode is an episode that if we ejected entirely, I wouldn't mind. The only reason I hesitate is because we just ejected an episode because we just threw Dear Doctor out the window. But if we were going to use this would be a near total rewrite. The only thing that would remain, maybe, would be the Klingons or the gas giant. Not both. What do you think?
I think I'm going to watch it, and then we can go from there, because I'm not...
Okay, so we'll push that to next week, is what I'm hearing.
Or will we? Because that's bringing up the thing you were talking about.
Yeah. Okay,
just so you guys... Oh, you can discuss it, or I can. I was
just going to explain the why, but please go ahead.
Well, if we don't... So... There may or may not be one more time that we'll be doing this. And then after that, we're going to be taking a couple or to a few, any 2 to 3 weeks or so.
Probably closer to 5, by the way.
Oh, 5 weeks. Jesus Christ.
Maybe 7.
I'm out. I'm done. It's finished. It's done. It's finished. It's here. This far, no fun. All right. So we're going to be taking like half the year off. And that's because during this time, Lore Runner decides to like do 6 years worth of episodes, like in 6 weeks.
Only a year and a half.
In 6 weeks. And so because of that, but we're going to be building up the infrastructure while we're doing that. For those who don't know, we actually do have a Discord up and running. We're going to be putting more things, making it a little more fancy and stuff like that. Let me go ahead and share it in mine. And then you can share in yours, or I can share in yours too.
I've already shared it in my Discord. If you want to invite, just whisper me or hug me on my Discord.
And then we, right there, for those who are in my chat, I'll do it in my Discord as well. And there'll be areas where the episodes we're going to be coming up on, the ones we're talking about, you'll be able to put Q&A or ideas there. And then after we've done a episode like this, it'll go into the post, as we discussed. And we can finish it out. And anything we've already done, all of that will be archived, so you can go back and take a look at it, see the questions, or see what you guys would have done differently, or how we could have affected it. It's going to be a neat little thing that we'll keep together. It'll be a place where everyone can talk about rewrites, doing the rewrites, what they'd like to see, what they'd like to do. We could have other fun stuff with it. But all that to say, we'll be working on infrastructure. We'll be having, I don't know if you're doing animations, but I'll be bringing some stuff out, doing some breakdowns. And it's just going to be a way for us to catch up, because we're behind in doing the overall breakdowns of these. Because for those who don't know, we also have another series where we take this entire live stream and we break it down into like 3 minutes. And so, anything I missed there, or is that really...
The only thing I was going to add was a personal thing. I've noticed a lot of people on my comment section and in my Discord who obviously are jumping in and they're like, hey, you should do this and this and this. And it's a cool idea. It's just 100% incompatible with the world we're building, which is fine. But I bring that up because I want to actually encourage people to do that. If you want to just shop and share and trade ideas of how you would redo Trek in the Trek Rewrite Discord, that would probably be the best place to do that. And then you can just discuss amongst yourself how much you want to do this, how much you want to do this, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, we could even have a channel or a thing where it's like, if I was rewriting it, this is the way I would have done it versus how we did it, so you can compare it. So, yeah, it's just going to be a fun little place. But again, we may be doing it next week, but after that, it'll be about 5 weeks to 3/4 of a year.
7 centuries.
Before we get it. And as you guys know, I think we've already established that Lore Runner actually isn't even here. All of this has been pre-recorded anyway. Yep. So... I'm actually here. He's just literally knew what I was going to say. And was
Response 32.
Yeah, exactly. See? There it is.
File not found.
Yeah. Oh, God, that was horrible, wasn't it? What, personality not found, or whatever it said? Remember that?
Yes.
From Cyberpunk?
Yes.
Horrible.
That was really horrible, yes.
But all right, yeah. Was there anything else to add, or we're going to finish this so early? We've never finished.
No, I guess that's good. It'll give me time to finish working on the theater, which is actually what I've been doing today.
Before we get that, though, Lore, did you catch what I was thinking about the dilemma? You said that like a long time ago, and I remember looking at it, but not.
I didn't even catch it, and I read much.
Said it was about a genetic defect that would make the dominant humanoid species extinct. No, that's not that one.
That has to be it, because that's the only dilemma there.
Is that Dear Doctor?
Yeah.
Oh. The one I was thinking about was where he was a horrible... Yes. So to answer your question, we're going to be talking about the Prime Directive. It's going to be coming up and being more meshed out in Enterprise. So absolutely yes. Maybe not in that format. So we are going to address it. So that's good. We've actually even started it. Which episode was Prime Directive specifically? Was it Prime Directive?
Civilization.
Civilization. So we've already started that. So yes. I thought it was the one where he was like on a shuttle and was going to. Do you need anything, baby? All right, I love you. Go play. We'll be done soon. Okay. Wait for it. Where he was gonna pee on all the people.
Oh, that would be. Oh God, that's
the one I was thinking about.
Isn't shoot? I'm trying to remember which episode that is
With
because
the
that's the
dog.
other really terrible one. Hang on. I think that's season 2 actually.
Oh, okay. Because his dog gets sick or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It's A Night in Sick Bay is the name of the episode, but I'm trying to find it. There it is. Night in Sick Bay, season 2, episode 5.
Right. That's the one I was thinking about. Yeah.
God, that episode was terrible.
But Dear Doctor's bad too. So, but yeah, we've already actually started addressing that. Prime Directive has already started. So, all right, guys, definitely go there, check it out, and.
I'm going to give some homework to anybody who wants to, especially my people, because you've been good about that. Lore Reloaded's people, you don't do homework. It's okay. I don't blame you. You're out of school. So homework sucks. I used to do homework in school too, so I'm with you. But if anybody wants to do the homework, so what I want to do, and I super do not have time for this, is to sit down and come up with all of the A plots and B plots from the rest of season 1 and season 2, and just get them into a list. Because what I would like to do, being the organized kind of mind that I have, is I'd like to be able to pick and slot, like we kind of did today, shoving the pineapple plot into Horizon kind of a deal. But more than just 2 episodes at a time, looking at the whole of season 1 and season 2 and seeing what we could reshuffle where. If anybody wants to do that, please and thank you.
So basically, you have to do it now.
You don't have to do nothing.
You have to.
No,
I
you
mean,
don't.
either you like the channel and want it to prosper, or you just want it to be destroyed.
If I died tonight, videos would go live for the next 2 years.
You're already dead. We've established this.
I'm just saying. They'd have no motivation to keep my channel going.
I would think that you had ghosted me, and that would have hurt my feelings given the relationship we have.
Well, I mean, technically, I would have ghosted you, just a little more literally than you thought.
That's true. I wonder how many people have been ghosted, and it's literally ghosted.
I mean, that is, especially now, that's an actual problem. Real talk for a second. I had an actor who was working on the theater with me, and he just vanished off the face of the earth. And I tried to reach out to him, and I tried to reach out to people next to him, and it just nothing for months. And I, honest to God, thought he might have died. He didn't. I'll go ahead and skip to the end there. I actually did get a hold of him just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, was he a jerk? Or
no, he went through the same thing most people are going through right now. Lost his job, had trouble keeping the place, yada yada yada. So obviously he just kind of vanished from the internet, but he has since reconnected to the internet, and he's doing all right. I'm going to be paying him too for his voice acting work, mostly to help him out. I don't
get paid for voiceover.
I will give you $1 if you do your Undertale lines that you still haven't done.
Maybe you've already done them.
No, you haven't.
Maybe they're already. Maybe that's been done. Maybe I'll have 5 weeks to get them done.
That's true.
5
you
weeks.
Will.
5 weeks to 2 years to get them done.
7 centuries, remember?
Just 7 centuries, 8 centuries. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Definitely be on the watch out because we'll be doing this, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Faux show.
And on my end, as a reminder, tomorrow